So I think what we know now is that famines are always very complex issues. They always happen for a lot of different reasons. But ultimately, those of us who study famines, we all say that ultimately a famine occurs because it's not prevented, because the government, whoever is the authority of the day, sometimes famine occurs in places where there's no functioning government, but whoever has the power to act, those people fail to prevent the famine. Going back to why it didn't happen in 72, 73, this is an excellent question. There was some research that was done at that time in which it was said actually, in a sense, that there was a kind of famine, but it was exported with 10 million refugees who went to India. So in a way, there was a kind of a famine situation for sure. Bangladesh had a famine-like situation for decades, before and after 1974. But governments got better at managing that situation. In 72, 73, there was a lot of foreign aid after the war. That started to dry up, started to be much more development focused by 1974, not so much relief focused. So you asked, was it a clash of ideologies or was it mismanagement? It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. I think that I have looked very closely at whatever literature is available about the famine, and it was really quite well documented in the 80s. There was the famous Amartya Sen essay on famine, which uses the 1974 famine as one of the case studies. And there's also the Mohiuddin Alamgir book I was mentioning, which has got very rich empirical data, original data collected. So there is quite a lot of good information, but it stops around about the 80s. We never talk about it again. Very, very rare papers or books or discussions about it after that. From those books, I think you can identify maybe 4 causes. I think probably 4 is a good way of thinking about this. One was we had massive floods that year. The Jamuna burst its banks 6 times between June and September. So a lot of crops were washed out, a lot of people were displaced, and there was no work, there was no jobs to harvest the crops. And this meant that all the din mojuri, the wage labourers, the landless wage labourers, who were a growing number in Bangladesh, they didn't have any work. A second was we call it the famine economics. The price of rice was increasing very, very fast. In fact, between 73 and 74, the price of the basic rice doubled. Now, how did that happen? It's not entirely clear. It's not entirely clear how that happened. Some of it was smuggling. Some of it was hoarding. Those syndicates that we are still talking about now, they were very much active in those days as well. But essentially, the main point of famine economics, this theory, is Amartya Sen's theory, that is said that basically it wasn't because there was not enough food, it was because people could not buy the food.